Is it possible to be in a relationship while at the same time your partner wants to work on themselves and heal from the past? Yes, and. So, let's unpack it a little bit. For me, being in a relationship can be deeply healing. It can be deeply enriching. It's for me one of the greatest catalysts for growth. And for me, growth is one of the primary directives of being alive, of being in existence, of being in consciousness, of being on this planet. So when I think of that, I think of growth, and I think of relationships and how they fuel this growth, then at some level we're always going to be wanting to work on ourselves. And I think we quote unquote should want to work on ourselves. That's a healthy thing to do and to be. However, this gets interesting because we have to reach a certain point of clarity, I believe, before we can really enter a sacred union or a healthy relationship, whatever that looks like, however you dress that up, right? Whether it's monogamy, non-monogamy, and all variants in between, and all that's not the conversation right now. But what is more important is that we have to have grasped a firm understanding of who we are in the world, our core triggers and wounds, our traumas if we have any, and to deal with those traumas at a way that not only do we have awareness of them, so yes, I remember, or I know, or I own, or I acknowledge that I experienced A, B, and C. I experienced physical violence with my father. I experienced intense bullying. I experienced feeling alone. I experienced enmeshment with my mother. Like whatever it may be. And that's the awareness piece. Great that we have that. That's one step. But the next step is to have a deeper level of awareness and then to actually begin to work through the core of those issues. To create a greater regulation in our nervous system so that we're not so reactive when it comes to relationships, because relationships will trigger and amplify our old wounds as our old wounds amplify the present moment in relationship as well. So, what do? We have to have agreements. We have to filter out our partners, so to speak. We have to take ownership for who we are in the world. We have to take ownership for our level of growth. And so, your partner, he can keep working on himself. And if he wants to be in the relationship and he's not showing up massively reactive, and he's still in alignment with what your agreements are in the relationship and what your aspirations are in the relationship, then yes, you can be in a relationship. And if you're not highly, massively both triggered, and it's not bringing up all this stuff for you, and you can hold that, and he's still prioritizing the relationship, of course you can still be in the relationship. But if it's all new stuff and there's too much, too soon, too fast, like all this trauma is coming up and he hasn't got time, space, energy to be in the relationship, and not only that, but it's projecting all of it on you, then the timing may be a little off. And that's tough because we can see the potential in people so much. We see the love that they can give, the people that they can be, their hearts wide open. We can see that. But if they're not being that, if they haven't embodied and integrated that, then what does it mean? I remember a previous partner of mine once saying, I'll never forget this, and that was a really harsh relationship ending. And that was a massive catalyst for me to really do my deeper work. It really was. And she said, I fell in love with your potential, and there was never enough. And I kidded myself thinking it would be. And that really hit me hard because I had this potential, but I wasn't living it. I wasn't embodying it. I wasn't integrating it. And so you can be in a relationship and be healing and be working on stuff. It depends on the level of the intensity of the stuff. And entering a relationship when you know you've got a lot of past wounds to heal, where it's a journey of solitude in that, and going into a relationship is irresponsible if you know that. Sometimes it happens and we don't know because the relationship becomes the catalyst to bring all that stuff out of us, and then we make a choice: do we want to traverse this together? my wife and I, Christine, that was part of our journey. But we had done so much foundational work before that. We could stay in the relationship. We could see from a meta perspective what was happening. And whilst it was intense, we could remain in it and still honor ourselves enough, respect each other enough, and respect our own selves enough because we had done enough work. Otherwise, I know we wouldn't be here today. We just would not be here today. So I hope that helps. Blessings. See you soon.